All right, this is what he's just had to say on camera. We'll bring it to our viewers now.
President, any statement on why you're leaving the G7 early for Washington?
Well, I have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great host. He did a fantastic job. Thank you in Canada. But you probably see what I see, and I have to be back as soon as I can. I'm going to have dinner with these wonderful leaders, and then I get on the plane. I have to be back early.
Have you talked to the National Security Council?
I loved it. I tell you, I loved it. And I think we got a lot done. Really a lot done. In fact, UK, we signed a big trade deal today, and we're working on others. But we had just a really great relationship with everybody, and it's really nice. I wish I could stay for tomorrow, but they understand.
Is there a reason, Mr. President,
this is big stuff.
Well, that's just great. They actually, now that I think about it, I know it's not Austria, it's Canada, but they do look a little like the Von Trapp family there in a Salzburg-like setting. We had some people stage right, leaving a little bit early, coming back, Donald Trump explaining. And look, we need to kind of bring this back to reality, right? What is happening in the Middle East is absolutely terrifying, and it is escalating. So we can tend to be a little bit too parochial here. About what our immediate needs are. But this is a serious escalation. What should we read into this? Not only that post on Truth Social that Tehran should evacuate immediately, according to Donald Trump, and castigating Iran for not doing a deal there, but also what is physically happening. Those two aircraft carriers now being moved to be positioned in the Middle East. What does that tell you, Mick?
Yeah, I hate to be, sort of doomsday about this, but I hate to think we should, maybe tomorrow we wake up and hope it was something specific to Albanese, because the alternatives are that it's really something bad happening overseas, and which would affect everybody, including Australia. So look, it's a very tense situation. There's no question. Trump has been one thing. You can always sort of read Trump this way, Laura. You can, he'll say this, he'll say that, but every now and then he comes back to the same themes again and again. And if you listen closely enough, you'll hear those themes. And one of the themes, he said it again in this tweet today, or this Truth Social, Iran shall not have a nuclear weapon, period, end of story. That's what's sort of driving all of this. I think we talked about this last night in the program. That is what's driving all of the decision-making, all of the actions. And if there's an opportunity, for example, in the next 24 hours to do something that prevents Iran from having a nuclear weapon, whether that be through the opening of negotiations or the escalation of military operations, I don't know. But my guess is his departure from Canada, from the G7, has probably a lot more to do with Israel than it does with Australia.
Yeah, and I think it is the departure from the G7 meeting. Perhaps they will discuss this situation at the dinner with these G7 leaders tonight. But if the US does get involved in this conflict, do you think it's another one of the long ones? Or would Trump be thinking he can get in and get out?
No, I don't think this is one of the long events. I think one of the things that even the sort of the interventionist branch of the Republican Party, the Lindsey Graham, the John Bolton, sort of the more antagonistic wing of the party, would never suggest you put boots on the ground in Iran. I just don't think that's on the table under any circumstances. I think you're going to see a relatively short engagement. That doesn't mean it won't be extraordinarily serious and couldn't escalate, but I don't think you're seeing a 20-year war here. I don't see the same dynamics on the ground as I did, say, in Afghanistan, or say the Koreas going back a couple generations. So no, I don't see that. It could still get very, very nasty, very, very quickly.